Could say what happened in that theater is a direct result of the movie itself.
That is so moral majority. You can't blame real-life violence on entertainment.
What? Wait a second, yes you can.
Ava back again. This time we're going to rank the Scream movies and take a look at Scream 7, in theaters now.
Movies are not responsible for our actions.
It's a classic case of life imitating art, imitating life.
This is not a hypothetical. It's not about art.
That 1996 film inspired countless creators to run wild with new possibilities while the Scream series itself continued to grow. Only a year after the release of the first film, we got a successful sequel. And then soon after that came a third installment that stopped the franchise dead in its tracks. But as Craven and Williamson taught us in that first film, the killer always comes back, and sure enough, Scream 4 hit theaters in 2011, and then 2022 kicked off the radio silence era of the franchise with Scream 2022 followed by 2023's Scream 6.
This isn't funny, Amber.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Scream 5.
So the first 3 attacks are all on people related to the original killers.
Oh my god, he's making a requel.
A what?
Or like a sequel.
This entry successfully reboots the series for a new generation, blending legacy characters with fresh faces and modern themes. As prescient as Scream 4 was about movie remakes and legacy sequels. The 5th film in the series proved that the time between entries allowed for a new conversation to be born, one about the fandom around these things. Scream 2022 does have a killer third act. One that walks the path of a legacy sequel in respectful and inventive ways, but also features one of the best monologues of the entire series with Jack Quaid's killer reveal. The trouble is that, on the whole, there is nothing that is distinct about Scream 2022 to elevate it above the other films. In fact, its biggest hindrances are being too reverential for the series as a whole. With corny ideas that go against the meta-commentary that Scream was built on and lean too far into real horror tropes. Scream 2022 also opens an awful Pandora's box for Scream 6. Scream 6 took the franchise to the Big Apple as siblings Sam and Tara Carpenter, Melissa Barrera, and Jenna Ortega attend university in New York City. However, an even more violent Ghostface is eager to end their lives after they survived their first massacre in Scream 2022. It soon becomes clear that this new killer is incredibly familiar with past Ghostface, leading to a cross-generation team-up between Sam and friends, Kirby and Gale. Scream 6 does tread on several familiar tropes and follows the premise of Scream 2, but twists it into a sick cat-and-mouse game across the city streets. Witnessing a team-up between Sam's group, Scream 4's resident movie buff, and original Woodsboro survivor Gale feels like a perfect celebration of the franchise so far. But the violent tactics of a new killer keep the tension high. As such, Scream 6 was a welcome follow-up that proved Sam and friends could carry the franchise going forward.
It's as if you don't exist.
That's the idea. Psychos can't kill what they can't find.
Scream 3, 2000. While it wraps up the original trilogy, Scream 3 is generally considered the weakest due to its more comedic tone and less impactful story. But it still delivers classic Scream moments. As much as I love the entire Scream film franchise, I must admit, it's a challenge to defend certain elements of this one. Scream 3 does have many highlights though. Parker Posey, for one, is electric as Jennifer Jolie. Her timing and delivery are spot on, and she's also the focus of one of the best set pieces in the movie, and one of the best of the franchise, for that matter. But ultimately, Scream 3 is the Roman Scott Foley of the series. It's the result of a Craven and Aaron Kruger collaboration, not Craven and Williamson. It's the installment that feels like it's trying to claw its way into the club, whereas its predecessors nail the balance between sheer terror and meta humor. Scream 3 tends to spiral via its wildly different tone. For example, even though there is value to the plot digging deeper into Sydney's family history, the uncharacteristic melodrama of that material in particular does take away from its impact and significance, especially when it comes to the Roman of it all.
Here is my Woodsboro Massacre anniversary question. What is your favorite scary movie?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Scream 4, 2011. Offering a satirical look at remakes and reboots, Scream 4 brings back familiar faces and delivers inventive kills, though it doesn't reach the heights of the first two films. While the Stab franchise may be killing the competition at the box office, Sydney has turned her life around in Scream 4, using her experience to help others with a new book she has penned. But as the 15th anniversary of the Woodsboro killings comes around, Sydney is not only dragged back into the mystery, but also made a prime suspect.
Are you suggesting that someone's trying to make a real-life sequel?
Stab 2? Who'd want to do that? Sequels suck. No, come on, man. Oh, please.
Scream 2, 1997.
Many sequels have surpassed their original.
Oh, yeah?
Name one.
Yeah. Aliens. Far better than the first.
Yeah, well, there's no accounting for taste.
Thank you, Ridley Scott rules.
A strong sequel that builds on the first with witty commentary on horror sequels and maintains the suspense and cleverness of the original. Let's get the obvious out of the way first. It's nearly impossible for a sequel to compete with its iconic original. And that exact point is stated multiple times in this movie. But what still makes Scream 2 a stellar sequel is the time and care it takes to embrace and build upon the foundation started in the first film. It's staying within the confines of a very specific formula, but isn't that the point in a sense? One of the core ideas of the 1996 original was that horror movies could influence killers. Not create them, but make them more creative, according to Billy Loomis. So now in Scream 2, not only do you have the high-profile news story covering what really happened to Sydney and her friends, but you've also got a movie based on their experience with Stab. That's two sources of inspiration right there. Within the rules of the Scream franchise, it makes all the sense in the world for both of those things to motivate others. There are tons of smart threads all throughout the film that keep you guessing, and take the main ensemble a major step forward. You've got the film turning the tables on Sydney as far as the boyfriend goes. Is Derek another Billy, or does he really have a heart of gold? Gale Weathers is finally forced to see the difference between star-making sensationalism and respectable, game-changing journalism. And then there's one of my favorite creative choices, keeping cotton-weary Liev Schreiber in the mix. There's no leaving the trauma of her past behind. Sydney will carry all of it with her. And that includes falsely accusing Cotton of her mother's murder. But the main element that makes Scream 2 much more than just a decent sequel is its killer reveal. The first Scream begs the question, can scary movies create killers? The ending of Scream 2 digs into that extremely well on 3 levels. You've got film-obsessed Mickey, Timothy Olyphant, who plain old wants to prove that theory true. You've also got Debbie Salt, Mrs. Loomis, who's driven to kill, not by the movies, but by the real-life events that took her son from her. But the real kicker of Scream 2 is that Sydney is the one who stops them from making their movies by making one of her own.
Oh, now that's in poor taste.
What?
If you were the only suspect in a senseless bloodbath, would you be standing in the horror section?
Scream, 1996. The original film remains the gold standard, revitalizing the slasher genre with its sharp script, memorable characters, and suspenseful direction by Wes Craven. As any film aficionado may proudly say, it is impossible to beat the original movie. After a pair of teens are viciously murdered before the eve of her mother's murder's anniversary, Sydney Prescott finds herself targeted by the masked Ghostface killer. Everyone is a suspect, as the murderer carves their way through Sydney's loved ones. Scream single-handedly revitalized the slasher genre for a generation, acknowledging the tropes audiences had picked up on, and creating a genuinely fascinating mystery that will still have you picking up on new clues with every rewatch. Even after you find out who the killer is, Sydney instantly solidifies her place in the pantheon of final girls, but the entire cast is full of memorable characters with just as iconic lines. Scream was an instant horror classic upon its release, and it still stands strong to this day. Everything works in Scream: the performances, the one-liners, the soundtrack, and then some. There are loads of moments of pure terror. That vicious opening kill sequence, Tatum's death by a garage door, and Billy and Stu's stab session during the film's big finish, just to name a few. But the special thing about Scream is, it's never just a kill for the sake of a quick thrill. The film is so well written that even the tensest moments come with a spirited quality to them that pays homage to the genre. First off, Craven and Williamson don't have cannon fodder in this movie. Every character serves a purpose and makes an impression. Down to poor Kenny the cameraman and Drew Barrymore's Casey Becker, who you're intensely rooting for mere minutes after meeting her. And then, of course, we've got an iconic heroine like Sidney Prescott. Sidney goes through a lot over the course of this film, and before it, too, and every single step of the way Neve Campbell brings a pitch-perfect mix of sensitivity, conviction, and fight to the role so that you not only believe she's got a fighting chance, but also believe that she's fighting for something important. While I already knew I had a taste for the scary stuff at that point, seeing a movie that oozed respect for genre history and the rules of it sparked a need to learn more about it all.
This is it.
Can't believe we're staying at the Psycho Killer B&B.
When a new Ghostface killer emerges in the quiet town where Sidney has built a new life, her darkest fears are realized as her daughter becomes the next target. Determined to protect her family, she must face the horrors of her past to put an end to the bloodshed once and for all. It is directed by Kevin Williamson from a screenplay he co-wrote with Guy Busick. From a story by James Vanderbilt and Busick. The film stars Neve Campbell, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, David Arquette, Matthew Lillard, and Courtney Cox reprising their roles from the previous films, with Isabel May, Anna Camp, Michelle Randolph, Jimmy Tatro, McKenna Grace, Asa German, Celeste O'Connor, Sam Reckner, Mark Consuelos, Tim Simons, and Joel McHale also starring. The film follows a new Ghostface killer who targets Sidney Prescott's daughter. Spoiler alert, this synopsis doesn't reveal all the plot points, but does reveal some of them. In Woodsboro, Stab franchise fan Scott and his girlfriend Madison visit Stu Macker's house after hearing rumors that he might have survived having a television thrown on his head. They are killed by Ghostface, who sets the house on fire. In Pine Grove, Indiana, Sidney Prescott has built a new life for herself. She is married to police officer Mark Evans, runs a coffee house, and looks after her children, including her teenage daughter Tatum, named after Sidney's late best friend Tatum Riley. Sidney receives a call from Ghostface, who requests for a video call and reveals himself as an aged and scarred Stu. Stu announces he is going after Tatum and is standing outside the theater where she and her classmates are rehearsing. Sidney arrives with the police as Ghostface flees after killing Tatum's classmates Hannah and Aaron. That was our show for today. What did you think? What was your favorite Scream movie? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And while you're at it, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel, click the bell to stay informed, and check out the Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise. Also in the comments, until next time, this is Ava in for Kevin Givens saying live long and prosper. May the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.